That over there is Portland Union Station. It was opened in 1896 and at its heyday served the Union Pacific, Southern Pacific, Spokane, Portland, and Seattle, Great Northern, and Northern Pacific. I wanted to get a shot on the platforms, but unfortunately I wasn't a passenger on any trains at that time, so I couldn't go on the platforms.
Well...
But I would still catch some trains. Arriving right now is the Portland section of the Empire Builder. The train was operated by an ALC-42 Big Arm, ALC-42 One Arm, ALC-42 Overalls, ALC-42 Hillbilly? Wait, what? ALC-42, one of those charging things. Okay, close. ALC-42 Charger locomotives. 75 and later 50 more, becoming 125. ALC-42s were ordered in 2018 and entered service in 2022. These are part of the Siemens Charger family, a locomotive type used by Amtrak and many other railroads. And fortunately, these locomotives and the rest of the Charger family are pretty well liked by most of the railfan community. Nah, I'm just kidding. In typical railfan fashion, railfans were about as happy with the ALC-42s and the Siemens Charger family in general as this guy from a random pyrocynical video I screenshotted for a previous Q&A video is happy with anime and people who like anime existing. And to be honest, I think they're way too overhated. But I guess that is just the side effects from one too many doses of hatred of new rolling stock. Despite having a rough entry into service, these locomotives have been performing way better now compared to 2022, and much to the denialism of the Siemens Charger hatedom, are even performing better than the Smokers Genesis that they're set to replace. Speaking of Chargers, or if you're a 5008 Creations fan, a Charger, here's an original SC-44 leading an Amtrak Cascades train into Portland.
I've been constantly seeing 32 axles needed on a lot of routes.
The Amtrak Cascade service has its own paint scheme, and the locomotive leading WDTX 1406 shows so. But the coaches, which are Horizon cars, don't match the locomotive. But the cars did for the most part until 2021. And that's because the Talgo 6 sets, which ran on the route, weren't very helpful in crashes, and I think they were even banned outside of the Cascade service. And an unscheduled station stop on the I-5... Okay, I sugarcoated that. A crash in 2017 sealed their fate, resulting in them ultimately being retired. 2 Talgo 8 sets run on the Cascades, though, so they still have some identity. Unfortunately, the Horizons didn't give any of that. The good news is that the Amtrak Aero cars for the Cascades will be entering service in 2026, giving the Amtrak Cascades identity back to its trains, and allow for a higher capacity than the Talgo 6s, give passengers a safer type of rail car than the Talgo 6 sets, as well as the potential for adding more frequent trains on the Cascade service. The bad news is that the original 2024 entry into service date was pushed back to 2026 because of some cafe car redesigns or something, and because of that, the Arrows didn't arrive in time for a massive Horizon car corrosion problem to hit Amtrak. After my visit, Amtrak pulled all of its active Horizon cars out of service, and if this article were to be believed, these cars were probably ticking time bombs that were about to go off at any moment. Info varies, and some say that the Horizon cars are now forced into early retirement since the Amtrak Arrows are on their way, as well as Venture coaches, and they would enter into service soon anyways, while others say that Alstom, who succeeded Bombardier, who originally built the Horizons, are fixing the problem. Either way, this has created problems for Amtrak, especially the Cascade service, which relied on these cars until then. Amfleets from the NEC are in place of the Horizons until either some Horizons come back or the Cascades fleet of the Arrows enter into service. This train also had a baggage car on the rear for some reason. I thought that it could be for axle counts, but it doesn't look like that's the case. There's also P42 DC-72. Some of the Genesis locomotives are currently being used as a bit of cab cars until cab cars arrive. Here's a hardcore foamer delighting sight. 2 GEVOs from BNSF. There's a BNSF yard near Union Station, although I am not sure why the GEVOs were going to Union Station. Maybe it's for a crew change, but I am not entirely sure.
Wow. Every railfan slash foamer's least favorite locomotives in less than an hour. Awesome!
In the distance, the Portland section of the Empire Builder arrives before departing to Spokane and eventually Chicago. Before that would happen though, a southbound Coast Starlight train, Train 11 from Seattle, would arrive at Portland.
Stop spitting out so long.
2 Amtrak P42 DCs are leading the Coast Starlight, one in Phase 5, the other in Phase 7. Despite Amtrak starting to replace the Genesis with Chargers, many Genesis locomotives are still being painted into Phase 7, and even some Genesis locomotives are being converted into P42C cab cars, like the F40s before them. The Superliners are used on all long-distance trains west of the Mississippi River, and while they're reliable, Amtrak is currently procuring a replacement for the Superliners. However, complicated designs with the original plans that Amtrak had in mind caused some manufacturers to balk. And if this part in one of the Trains.com articles were to be believed, it's paused indefinitely. There's not much more info on how long that had happened if it were true, if Amtrak did pause procurement but resumed it, if Amtrak is resuming it, or if Amtrak never paused procurement in the first place. I'm not sure of what the status of Amtrak's Superliner replacements are right now, and I only pray that whatever the issues are, Amtrak will be or have been able to resolve them, and soon enough be able to order the new long-distance fleet for its long-distance trains. Regardless of potential delays, the Superliners are pretty much immortal, so I think they'll still be in shape when the new long-distance fleet comes into service. I also kinda hope Stadler wins the contract since Siemens has their hands full, and I think this would allow for Stadler to prove themselves worthy.
You can't hop a train anymore and feel the freedom. On rails aboard the devil's eye and fall. Many times on a baby you can be my oh, but you can't hop a train anymore. Now you can't hop a train anymore.
I then went to the Oregon Maritime Museum, which included the last operational sternwheeler tug in the United States. Unfortunately, I may have misunderstood something because it looked like the entrance to the tug was closed off. In the distance, Amtrak's Coast Starlight is departing Portland, headed for Los Angeles. off the train, I would head back to the crossing I was at before to catch the Empire Builder leaving Portland. There was an XF40PH cab car in Cascades colors and WDTX 1405. Fortunately, if you say that the Chargers are ugly, don't worry, this'll be the ugliest thing you'll see in these videos, as I didn't see any of the Talgo 8 sets because, dear God, look at me with the straight face and tell me that the Talgo 8s look better than the Chargers. No, you can't. But anyways, a little bit before 5 p.m., Amtrak's Empire Builder would depart Portland to head east. In a few hours, it would connect with the Seattle section of the Empire Builder and continue on to Chicago.
Hey, you waved at me.
One interesting note about this train is that the Empire Builder was in fact the launch route for both the Superliner fleet and the ALC-42s. So this train was using two sets of rolling stock that this line launched.